he couldn't reach out for help. And that's all that happened. And so a lot of the family members basically disconnected from us when they found out how he died. And that was very sad because, you know, here they are supposed to be these loving, giving people. And here they are basically turning their backs on us. And so that was very sad and very unfortunate and very painful to watch my mother have to lose family members who don't speak to her anymore because of that. So, but this journey that I'm on right now with this personal development, I'm kind of jumping around a lot, is that when I started this personal development path, I had to really sit and look at myself in the mirror and get really honest about who I was. And I'm realizing at that time I was 40, I didn't know who I was. So in a way, I was being reborn. I was creating my own birth and identity, and realizing that these old sets of beliefs, these fears and the fear-based conversations and excuses that I held on to as a crutch did not serve me. And so after leaving my job, because I was not fulfilled, I was on this path of what is my true purpose. You know, I was born for a reason. I didn't understand why I was still here. Why did my dad do what he did? You know, why did my divorce happen? Why do I feel like a big failure? Why do I have this awesome, amazing job in corporate world? And I'm, you know, on the surface, everything looks great and I'm happy, but inside I was still dying. I felt like my soul was just dying. And so through that pain, I started writing a list of this best version of who Souligna is. What did I look like? What was my health? What was my physical, you know, attributes? What, you know, what kind of car would I drive? What kind of business would I be running? What kind of clients I would be serving? What kind of mother would I be? What kind of house and you know, car and things that I would be providing for me and my son? And the last list that I created was the most difficult was for me, was trying to find love in my heart again after being hurt and going through some painful experiences. Was who was this ideal partner that would love and respect me and cherish me the way I deserved? And so from that list, I just started manifesting all kinds of things. Within a week of doing that exercise, things started showing up into my life, and it was amazing and powerful. And, you know, they talk about when you see your light, when you finally step into your power and you step into your greatness, it truly was one of those experiences where it was just, it was very powerful, and it scared the living crap out of me. And I realized, like, that's a very powerful me. That's who that person is supposed to be. And so when I truly stood in my light and said, I believe with my core and convictions, my true sets of beliefs is that I am worthy, I am powerful, I am going to transform this world, I am going to leave a legacy, and these conversations need to start changing. What kind of language and what kind of behaviors and what kind of treatment will we be giving to one another as human and humanity? And so I completely shifted, meaning I shed this cocoon, I shed this identity. And the mourning a process that I went through was mourning this 7-year-old Souligna, who was always scared, who always wanted to please everybody, who wanted to be morphed into whatever this person wanted me to become. And the whole time I didn't know who I really was. And so when I finally have stepped into that light and I realized who I am, was when conversations started happening and people started realizing, oh, this is a different person. And so because of that, I have lost a lot of friends. I'm not having the same old mundane, you know, social conformist conversations. You know, these conversations no longer serve me as far as, you know, is this contributing to my happiness? And is it contributing to my business? And if none of those things are happening, then I'm not going to waste any more of my energy or give away my power to that, because it didn't help me become more confident. It did not help me become more empowered, you know? So I hope that makes sense. And if somebody's, you know, if anybody's out there listening to this, I hope that this message resonates with you, and understanding that, you know, even knowing as I was losing friends, and at first it was very painful when I was mourning these friendships, and I realized, you know, we get to a point in our life where we just outgrow this space. And so it wasn't more of a mourning. It was more like, I'm going to let you go and hope that we could reconnect somehow when, you know, our energies align again. And so we kind of have to shed some of the old stuff so that new things can appear in our life. And so with that, you know, I'm meeting amazing people who are having conversations like this, Tasha, like you, and, you know, who want to change the world, who want to connect people again and stop hiding behind our fears and, you know, shed whatever suffering that we imprison ourselves in and just come from a space of love.
I love that. You did a lot of it. It's really interesting because in the story, people learn from stories, and whoever's listening, I really hope they really hear what you're saying. And some of the bullet points of it is you shared that you can't just want something different. You can't just want to be something different. You have to go in and look at your beliefs and see what's in there, because that's what's ruling your life. And you have to be that bold and willing to let go of them. So I thought that was beautiful. And the list of self, what an amazing list. Yes. I actually do that every day.
Well, thank you for...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you up. I was going to say, like, well, it's a good point that you brought up, was that it's more than just wanting. You have to believe that this is what is true for you, right? So when your reality, whatever thoughts is going through your head, becomes your reality. Whatever you focus on, if you think about it, it really does truly expand. So if someone is out there right now struggling with, you know, I hate my job, I'm not happy, I want to quit, but I'm too afraid because we need the money, you know, that's fear talking, right?
Right.
When I quit my job and I resigned on a Friday afternoon, I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have a spouse supporting me financially. I finally said, you know what, I'm so sick and tired of talking about having my own business for the last 7 years. And I know people are probably sick of hearing me, and I haven't done a damn thing. I'm like, I finally just got so fed up with it. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do more good running my own business and helping the clients that need my help than to be closed off in this office building and managing people who didn't want to be held accountable. So when I left that job, you know, my family and friends were saying, what are you doing? You have a son, you need, you know, like you need to support yourself. You got to have a job, go back and get a job. My own mother was telling me this, you know, and even now they don't support me in what I'm doing right now. I'm running my own business. I will never go back to working 9 to 5 again. And so I'm being kind of defiant. So maybe that's another word to describe what being bold is that you're defying what people think you should be doing. You're defying all of these standards and expectations. And I'm like, who wrote this book of rules and expectations and beliefs? And why should I have to believe that too? Right.
Exactly.
So basically, I just defied them. I said, no, I'm going to hold myself. I'm going to have conviction and commitment to being a better version of myself, because the person that was before you was not a happy woman. She was scared and playing small, and she was doing whatever everybody else wanted her to do, but what she wanted to do. And so as I stepped into this person who I was meant to be, people are taking notice and saying, she's not the same timid, shy little Asian girl anymore. She's up to something. You know, I'm living life with purpose and intentions every single day. The clients that I mentor and coach, you know, I'm making an impact. These speaking engagements that I do, you know, they are making, you know, we're transforming the culture of businesses and how we impact the world, and trying to make sure that our communities are thriving so that my child, who's 7, can go into the workforce and create, you know, a beautiful world where, you know, people are kind and people are compassionate, and we embrace differences and we embrace ideas and different sets of beliefs. So, you know, that's what I'm up to, is holding people to their greatness. Yeah, I'm tired of looking at people who are arguing for their limitations and playing small and making excuses for why they're not doing the best that they can. So
that's amazing. And another good point. You reinvented yourself because yourself wasn't really who you were anyway. It's
Right.
what others made you to be. And sometimes that works for
Yes.
people. Maybe that's something that is normal for some people and they grow up and they're fine with that. But truthfully, I think energy, because it ebbs and flows, it expands and it contracts. I don't think we can ever be what we grew up in. Kind of like Thomas Wolfe, you
Mm-hmm.
can't go home again. So the reinvention of
Mm-hmm.
self brought you to your authentic sharing, your authenticity of who you truly are. And now look at you, you're soaring, you have a successful business. It's interesting that
Oh, thank
people
you.
support you when you're already successful.
Well, if you were to ask different people what success means to them or what their definition of success means, I did this when I first started going into my business, 3, 4, 5 months into it. And I wasn't making any money. You're struggling and you're just trying to chase that next sale, that next hustle, the next client. And I finally took a step back and I was just like, what is my definition of success? What does that look like for me? And when I started asking my friends, what does success mean for you? And one of my girlfriends says, Selena, she goes, you were always very ambitious. You had very, huge global ideas. You were very progressive. You wanted to chase that big dream. And she goes, for me, success is I'm a good mom. I'm a good wife. And I love my life out here in the country. I get to watch my kid, grow up and we play baseball and we spend time with family. So for her, that was her idea of success. And so I got different perspectives as I started conversations with people and trying to figure out what makes people happy, what makes people feel like they're fulfilled. And so it's kind of it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. So to you, whatever that definition of success means to you, write that down. What does this best life look like? So that when I'm laying on my deathbed, I can look back and say, I've never had any regrets. I did everything I wanted to do. I just didn't have enough time to do everything, right? So
I
I
know.
never
I'm
want to,
200.
I never want to look back and say, I wish I had done something different. So, and that's what it was for me, was like, how many more years am I going to wait to finally do this business? How many more days am I going to go into work feeling miserable and feeling like I'm just going to beat my head against the wall again? And for me, it was, I set a deadline. I said, enough is enough. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I said, I want to be happy. So.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that we're here talking. I do want to add what's really cool about the energy that you created is when you write down a list, you start saying it, it goes into
Mm-hmm.
your brain, it starts
Mm-hmm.
reprogramming your set of beliefs. But what's interesting is you said you
Yes.
look at it often. It actually literally in quantum physics takes 17 seconds for like energy to draw like energy. So whether you knew it or not, you were drawing more and more and more to you by focusing and focusing. And people don't realize this stuff is not woo woo. This is actually scientific. And we are mind,
Oh,
body,
yes.
spirit. So we have to, it's almost like if you change one part, but you don't change the other two, if you change, I'm going to use
Mm-hmm.
smoking as a quick example. If you put down the cigarette, but you don't change your mindset and you don't change the emotional attachment, you're going to pick that or something worse up. So you
Mm-hmm.
explained in such a beautiful story way of how you did all of that on all levels. So thank you so much for sharing. I think
Well,
we have a lot from this. Yes.
Tasha, you said something that was very critical there, and that is your mindset, your subconscious brain. Your brain is a very powerful organ in your body. It function. The function of your body, your blood flow, your breathing, everything. It monitors everything, right? So your brain, has to be programmed sometimes to thinking that it's there to protect you from harm. So when
Right.
your brain recognizes something is going to hurt you, whether it's I don't want your feelings to get hurt, I don't want you to physically get hurt, um, you know when you go touch a stove, your body automatically tells you, hey, don't touch that, it's hot. So what's hard for the brain to know is that because it's designed to protect you, which is why a lot of the fears that's where a lot of fears come from, is, it's to protect you, right? You don't want to get hurt. So you have to reprogram that subconscious brain thinking and saying, I am safe. I am going to be okay. No one's going to hurt me. I am strong. I can do this without fear. I can do this. And if I fail, so what? I can do it again. I